I've been well over 20% body fat at many points in my life. And what I can tell you is life is so much better when you're in that 15% body fat range. It's a range that allows you to live your life and feel incredible at the same time without feeling like you're in a prison of health and fitness. Now, when you dip into the, let's call it below 12% body fat range, things do get a little bit more dicey. Some people are blessed with the ability to be that lean year round with no issue. On today's video, I want to walk you through the entire formula to get down to healthy body fat ranges, especially if you're in your 40s, your 50s, heck, even approaching 60. Let's call it the back half of your life. Most guys live to their mid 70s to early 80s. So once you're at age 40, you're technically, according to statistics, halfway through your life. If you've lived a good chunk of time now in the 20% to 30% body fat range, and you're frustrated because maybe you've come close to breaking through that ceiling, and now you're motivated enough, you're driven enough, you're disciplined enough to take the journey to the lower body fat ranges, this video is really going to help. Let's jump in here. We are going to map out the phases that I believe are required if we want to see change. The first thing we have to understand, most guys think fat loss starts up here and diet starts. So we'll have a little graph here, and this is time and this is body fat percentage. Most guys think it's nice, steady, downstream effect. This is not accurate. What really takes place, if we go over here and we have time and we have body fat, if we're starting up here, what ends up happening is there's definitely an initial phase where things happen pretty quick because you're cleaning things up. Your body releases some body fat that it didn't want to hold on to. But then what we end up seeing in most cases is this kind of ugly path down to the lower ranges of body fat. It's really important for you to understand that out of the gate, because what I hate to see with people who start any kind of fat loss phase is they think it's just going to be this magical diet or magical workout plan that ultimately gets them there. But I'm going to share with you some no nonsense stuff that I think will help you quite a bit. And we'll start with the base. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a house that is your fat loss dream home. Now, this is the unsexy stuff here. We're going to basically build out the foundation to the home. This is what you don't see underneath the surface. And there's three. Let's get this out of here. There's three M's that we want to talk through. The first one is movement. This is really important. We are going to drag, let's see. The first piece is movement. We got to we have to move away from this whole idea that we have to just do cardio when it's time to do cardio. Instead, we need to adopt what I call a movement-based lifestyle. This is where we need to average around 8 to 10 steps per day. This is the baseline to achieving what I have deemed a movement-based lifestyle. Now, over here, we have muscle. Now, two things. These go hand in hand. These two work really well together, because if all we do is cardio, which a lot of guys fall into the trap of doing, where they're out running, they're doing the Peloton, they're doing the Stairmaster, and their workout time that's very limited as is starts to get all sorts of out of whack because they're spending way too much time in a cardiovascular type of movement. Movement should mostly be just walking. So go take the stairs when you need to or when you can. Walk your dogs a couple times a day. Park a little further away. Walk on the treadmill. Walk outside. Just do your walking, but we want to pair that up with a solid and well thought out progressive overload type of approach to not only hopefully build some muscle, but hold on to as much muscle as possible, because muscle is a powerhouse when it comes to our metabolism. It requires a lot of energy and demand on the body to keep muscle on the body. So our metabolism has to work a little bit harder when we carry a little bit more muscle. My suggestion for most guys who, let's be real, have a busy, demanding, relatively stressful schedule most of the time, trying to manage all the things that they're responsible for in their career or their business, manage family, manage relationships, manage social life, manage their community that they're a part of. Most guys can average 3 to 4 workouts per week. Now, I think a lot of guys waste a lot of time in the gym, chatting it up, goofing off on their phones, not really paying attention to what they need to be doing. So my suggestion is be in and out of the gym and let's call it 45 minutes or less. This is really important. Now, keep in mind, this is just the foundation. We're going to get to some good stuff here in a second. The last thing that we got to get dialed in, let's go back here. The last thing that we got to get dialed in at the foundational level is our meals. Now, I'm going to suggest something that you may not hear from a lot of fitness people these days. I'm going to say 4 to 6 baseline meals. You guys can make fun of my handwriting if you want, but we want to keep boring. When I say boring, it doesn't mean it has to taste bad or you have to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli. That's not what I'm saying. It just has to be somewhat repetitive so that your brain gets used to eating similar things all the time. I'll give you an example that might sound crazy, but California Pizza Kitchen is a chain restaurant, and you can actually buy their pizzas in the store. The buffalo chicken pizza, the whole entire thing, I want to say is maybe 1,200 calories. Now, for a lot of you, that's a lot of calories. For me, that was like dinner when I was cutting because I only eat 2 or 3 times a day. So, oops, that's what happens when we're not on airplane mode. Let's go, do not disturb. So, let's get this out of here. So, I say boring because it can be repetitive meals that you just get used to having relatively frequently. All right, so we have boring, and we want to establish a calorie deficit. This is Fat Loss 101. But we have to establish a responsible deficit. We don't want to come out of the gate swinging with everything we got, throwing the kitchen sink at your fat, because at the end of the day, that won't be sustainable. You're ultimately going to experience some highs and lows and some difficulty if you're throwing the biggest deficit you possibly can at this problem. Now, this is the foundation. Let's start building the home. We got to build the home. So pardon my awful, we're going to start building the home here. We maybe have a little window here. We have the front door. Great. I have a little whatever. We got some bigger windows here. Now, this is just an iPad. I can't go crazy with fancy stuff, but let's talk about the fancier parts of this plan. So one thing to consider with movement is maybe we add some smart steps. Maybe with, and what I mean by smart steps is weight vest walking. This is the stuff, we don't need to worry about this stuff until we have our baseline. With muscle, there could be a couple things. Maybe we add finishers. Volume could go up. Reps can change. With meals, maybe it's weekend diet versus weekday. Maybe it's fasting. Man, there's a lot of stuff that we can do. Now, as we get deeper into things, we come up here, the stuff that doesn't really matter as much. Maybe we have peptides, hormones, supplements. This is all stuff that, once again, it's not going to make or break you. Now, you're probably like, well, isn't the roof an important part of a house? Yes. So let me get another color here. We'll go with purple. All right. We'll go mindset and meaning. These two pieces are really, really important. And why are these two pieces almost just as vital as the foundation? This kind of rounds out what we call our 5M system. So meaning and mindset. We're going to come back to this house here in a second. Let me show you here what I mean here. So we have mindset. This is highly underrated, number one. We don't talk enough about our mindset. So we need to have clarity. We need to have energy. We need to have focus. We need to have gratitude. Oh man, what just happened? Let's go back. You guys can tell I'm relatively, okay, so we have gratitude. We have abundance. Now, the other part of this is we got to have meaning, relationships, family, social health, faith, purpose. Now, so these are all things that nobody ever talks about with fat loss because these are like self-development, business coaching, life coaching, all that stuff. Those people talk about this stuff, but why do I talk about it? Well, because if these two things are jacked up, let's go back to our house for a second. If these two things are jacked up, look what we got here. We got a house with a great foundation. You're doing all the right things. I talk to guys all the time that are doing all the right things. I'm eating pretty good. I walk a lot. I work out. Cool, but I'm not losing fat. Why? Well, it's not because you're not taking the right peptides. It's because you're self-sabotaging yourself. You're starting to build momentum, and then guess what? You lose clarity. Here, check this out. When you lose clarity, this clarity gets X'd out. Let me X this out so you can see what I'm talking about here. So clarity goes away. Then we go up. Look what happens. We start to have a leak. When abundance goes away, we start to have leaks in the roof. Your base is great, but your roof is leaking. So this starts to disrupt all these things that you have in place in terms of systems and processes and habits and routines. You probably expected this video to give you the perfect timeline on how to get to 10, 15% body fat. And I'm going to give you a little bit of clarity on that. But I want to make sure you're aware that without the meaning, and here's the other part, the meaning and the mindset, the meaning are your relationships, your family life. Those things are a disarray. I'm not saying you can't get in great shape, but you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. If you have zero social health, if you're isolated, if your faith is on the rocks and you're questioning everything about your life, you're not trusting the purpose that God's put in front of you. If your purpose is not even defined, if you don't know why you're doing things, why am I trying to be healthy? Why am I trying to be in shape? What kind of influence do I want to have on people? Is it just my ego? Is it just me wanting to be so cool and so awesome compared to everybody else? Like, what is it? You got to get defined on that. And then here's the thing though. So once we get everything working, here's what I've noticed. So let's say a guy who's starting out at, let's say 30% body fat. On average, to get down to 15, it's about a week or two per percentage. So you're looking at probably 4 months to get here. Here's the thing though. To really get here, you got to learn to stay here. So once we're here, we need a solid 3 months. It's kind of like business. I tell guys, don't count your revenue at a certain point until you've been there for 3 months. I hear guys like, I make $100,000 a month. And I'm like, that's awesome. How often do you make $100,000? Oh, I made it once. Well, that's not making it. That's you touched it and then you went away. So don't touch 15% body fat. Learn to stay there. We got to have a metabolic repair phase where we're reverse dieting and we're getting out of this deficit in a responsible way to allow yourself to stay at 15% body fat. And this is a 3-month deal. We got to do that. Now, listen, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. I did put together a couple of resources for you. One is our 5M protocol to literally show you how to map this whole thing out. It's free. If you just comment the word 5M, if you just comment this thing up here, 5M, I will send it to you absolutely free. So let's go back to finalizing this. I appreciate you watching. It's a little bit different style. If you like this style, let me know. I hope this one helps and hope this one gave you some clarity on how to actually get down to 15% body fat. If you want more details, comment the word 5M. I'll send you a free system that actually digs into how to set up your workouts and everything. And if you're interested in our true transformation system that's now been helping people just like you for the better part of the last 20 years, we've had over 9,000 clients and customers come through our programs, our coaching, our resources. And we have hundreds and hundreds, near and thousands at this point of success stories of people who started exactly where you are today. So take that trust, take that belief in the process and know that you can do it too. Those people didn't come from crazy genetics or super special circumstances. They just took a shot on themselves and they didn't give up. They didn't quit, even though a lot of people around them are. So make that step today. Get the guide at the very least, or check out our program. Schedule a very quick, no obligation, just get to know you 15 to 20 minute chat, see if we can help, and then we'll take it from there. Josiah Novak, thetruetransformation.com. Life moves fast, make it count. I will talk to you soon. Peace.